Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, and I welcome both you and your ears to an episode of Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. In case you're wondering who Angie is, I'm Angie, and I'm super stoked to spend some time sharing with y'all some of my experiences and thoughts on living, loving, music, and space travel, or spiritual experiences as I often refer to as space travel. A rather broad spectrum, right? Well, my hope is to always share something that resonates with, intrigues, excites, or perhaps inspires you. On that note, I invite you to sit back, buckle up, and take a little trip out into the cosmos with me. Hello, cyberspace. It's me, Angie, coming to you with episode 15 of Life, Love, Music, and Space Travel. 15. I am almost to 20. That's kind of a cool number today. 20 is sort of going to be part of the theme around tonight's episode. I'm just going to jump right in. So today for me is 20 years without a drink. I suppose just putting that out there, some people might think, oh, what? Big deal. For me, it was a big deal. Today has been, it's been filled with lots of introspection. 20 years without a drink. I'm a drunk. So 20 years without a drink is a pretty big fucking deal. I think what I'm going to try and do, and I'm not saying any of this to be like, oh, so egoic or anything, but it is a big deal to me. It's really been, as I've mentioned, a day of reflection. 20 years without anything in particular, if it happens to have been a crutch or a negative part of your life, is something to be proud of. And there's definitely a time in my life when I could not give myself any kudos. I didn't have to be proud of Angie. I didn't really, for quite some time, there was not a whole lot to be proud of. It hasn't been that way, at least for the last 20 years. But what I thought tonight I might try and do is sort of reintroduce myself. When I started recording this podcast, I was coming out of having just left Colorado, the ending of a marriage officially. We had sold the house. I was leaving my kind of home state of the last 27 years, a full life, and had just arrived back on the East Coast, moving in with my parents at 50 years old, almost 51. Things were pretty heavy. I was definitely on emotional overload, and the podcast starting was really just a wonderful way for me to get a lot of that stuff out of my head. I appreciate everybody who's listened so far, and it's been really cathartic. I think maybe that's a word I can use. I'm using it properly, but the process has been wonderful. That being said, I'm not really sure I actually introduced myself fully or completely, if that's appropriate. I feel like that's kind of, what I'm doing with this podcast. So tying in the theme for today, which is 20 years without a drink. For the last 20 years, I have been on a journey of recovery and self-discovery, and it's been pretty fucking awesome. It has been a wild ride. Has not always been fun in any way, shape, or form. But a big part of my life experience has been in the recovery area. I started drinking at a young age, maybe not super young. I was actually probably 16, I think. Maybe I had dabbled with some wine coolers, but right around 16, I think I got drunk for the first time, and it was out, game on. Game was on. I was sick and vomited all over my dear friend Michelle's car. It was pretty nightmarish, and it was a mess, and I was a mess. And from 16 to 29, I pretty much drank like that. The recovery part of my life has been, I don't want to say, I hold it very dear. I don't go out and shout things from the rooftop, but it's been a really big deal in my life. Prior to putting the drink down 20 years ago, my life was a mess. It was a mess. I never looked at the drink as the cause, but as I reflect back, especially now, life has been pretty bumpy for the last 27 years, but not traumatically nightmarish because of an outside source. It's just been life, a lot of dealing with life and the feelings and everything that comes with this earthly experience. So today, thinking back on, I'll say as cliche, like what it was like, holy cow, I'm grateful to be present right now and taking an opportunity to reflect on what a difference it's made since I decided to, quote, quit drinking. And it wasn't like I just decided it. I mean, really, younger days, life was a mess. It was kind of a big cause probably for me flunking out of school. I was not a great student. I struggled with work. Eventually ran away from upstate New York to Colorado, running away from the high school boyfriend. But the relationship, my first love, the demise was definitely fraught with drinking and drugging and everything else that just made things a mess. And I ended up in Colorado. Things did not necessarily get better. And my first foray into a, quote, sober life, I'll try not to say quote too many times, but into that sober life was, in truth, it was to keep my crappy job at the ski shop. I worked at a place, I lived for a long time, as I've mentioned, in and around the Eagle Valley. I was working on Bridge Street in Vail, Colorado. At the time, it was Curtin Hill Sports ski shop, and it had a keg. The job came with a keg. I was sold. It was like heaven. And yet, for some reason, things were not going well for me. And at one point, it was suggested to me that I needed to do something about my drinking. And I put myself into a 12-week outpatient program of some sort, lasted for 2 weeks, decided to get back into the drinking game on a St. Patrick's Day, headed down to the bar, and that was it. I think I had like a 2-week period of not drinking at that point, which was a big deal. But I went back to the drink for a long time. Everything came to a head on December 19th of 2000. And actually, December 19th of 2000 was the last time I ever got drunk. And that was after an employee Christmas party. Yeah, nothing like employee Christmas parties. An employee Christmas party that ended in, I'll call it tragic. I ended up having to move out of my house 4 days before Christmas. My pretty unwell boyfriend at the time, it was a long time ago. Neither of us were doing very well, but he opted to ask me to leave. And as you all know, I love Poddecks. Poddecks. Travis Brown. I believe his name is Travis Brown. I should know that better. And I'm pretty sure I got to meet him at Podfest. So I love Poddecks. It's a app that you can use, and it gives you all kinds of questions that help with conversation stuff. So I pulled out the sober living deck on my podcast app, and that's going to come into the conversation pretty smoothly right now. The question that has come up is, when did you wake up and realize that you were an addict? And I'll say alcoholic. That after that night, after December 19th of 2000, the boyfriend asked me, I think he asked me, but pretty much told me that I had to go. It was the first time like I said, both of us were fairly unwell. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, if he's asking me to leave, I really might have a problem. Prior to that, I had not been willing to look at any of the drinking or drugging as a part of the issue. It was always the other people, places, and things. But that is when things began to change. That was 22 years ago for the most part. So I haven't been drunk. I never got drunk again after that December 19th of 2000 debacle. But I had about, 25 drinks in a 2-year period until I finally decided to put the drink down for good. And that was on or around June 6th. I had met the guy who would end up becoming my husband. Sadly now my ex-husband. But I decided we ended up going on a date of sorts, and I actually officiated at a friend's wedding. I think it was June 6th. And I picked that day. I had not been drinking prior to that, but I've picked that day. That was always my day, June 6th of 2002. And from that point on, I've just sort of been on this trajectory, this forward path of growth, a lot of spiritual growth thrown in there, but it's really been pretty wonderful. And so December 20th, perhaps it was, that I woke up and realized that I had a problem. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. I mean, I'm just going to flash forward into today for a moment. Today was this wonderful day. Mom and I went out, we ran some errands, then we went to a place called, I'm not going to be able to remember the name of it, Taylor Farms maybe. I kind of think that's not it, but we had ice cream and I bought some blueberries and we bought some perennials, dropped off something at the post office. It was like a basic kind of day, hung out with the dogs, went and hung out with some friends tonight. No drama, no trauma. And it wasn't lost on me what today was. And it wasn't lost on me about how I've made it to this place in my life where I got a fucking podcast. Today is actually a week since leaving Orlando for Podfest. It was wonderful. A month prior to that, I went to Jazz Fest in New Orleans by myself. It was wonderful. New Orleans, hung out on Bourbon Street, didn't want to drink. I'm amazed and overwhelmed at times with this life that I'm living. I've made it through divorce, house sale, leaving my state of 27 years, my job, my friends. I didn't take a drink during any of that. And putting the drink down for me actually allowed me to put lots of other stuff down. I definitely, I've done my share of drugs. I have taken my share of almost everything. Some things I didn't dabble with, but it wasn't because I didn't look for them. It was because I couldn't find them. But putting the drink down allowed me to eventually put some other stuff down. And so today, 20 years without a drink, at least 15 years, I'll say, without a recreational party drug. And in July, I'll have 4 years no weed. So I did actually hold on to the weed for a little while. And, that always kind of comes into the area for me with the space travel piece. I had not taken anything else. I wasn't taking, and please everyone remember, I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, not a doctor, a nurse. I'm just a garden variety chick cruising through this earthly experience. And tonight I happen to be sharing some of my story with you. So if anything piques your interest or resonates with you, talk to your doctor or counselor about it, whatever, and go from there. Last summer, everything that led up to that, I had been still smoking weed. I was living in a very troubled relationship. And when I finally found a therapist who was wonderful and life-changing, and I found another woman who was very helpful with helping me on this journey of recovery and self-discovery, as I call it, I eventually put the weed down. And that helped me really do a lot of things. It was after that I moved downstairs in my house. It was after that I filed for divorce. I did all the things that I was afraid of. I didn't have any of my fixes anymore, and it sort of required me to move forward, or I was going to move backwards big time. And here I am, really living this life beyond my wildest dreams. I was texting back and forth with a friend earlier. I would really love to just read the whole text because I don't want them to think that I wrote it for anyone but them. But the thoughts that I put in the text were pretty spot on about how I feel about this journey. This life that I'm living is not one that I would have chosen for myself. I would not have said, I want to get divorced after 18 years, with somebody. We were only married for 12, maybe, actually, but together for 18 years. And I want to get divorced, and I want to move in with mom and dad at 50, almost 51, and I want to lose all of my friends and community and job and all of that stuff. I never would have chosen that. And yet this place that I am in my life is a life that I never would have put together for myself. I never thought I could be this emotionally well. And it's definitely taken the steps that I've taken. Y'all know I've talked about the addition of medicinal clinical setting ketamine infusions. It's been life-changing. Some people need antidepressants. Some people need whatever the medicine is that they're taking, and that just happens to be the one that works for me. And without it, with where I am right now, it's just been a wonderful addition to me being in this place that I am. I started over. I started a brand new life. I'm in a new workplace. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how things are going to play out in my world. I'm excited. That is not something that I thought possible. I was walking through the streets of New Orleans, and I remember thinking to myself, I am living my best life. And it was only seconds after that it did also hit me that if I was still in the situation I was 6 months ago, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't have the opportunities that I'm being presented with right now. We sold the house. We each have some money. We're able to do some things that we couldn't have done before. I would not have made that trade-off. Not to say the universe was conspiring to get me to where I am, but I don't know. Maybe that is part of it. I don't know why things happen the way they do. And yet the journey that I have been on and the work that I have done on myself has placed me in this position where I'm much more willing and capable of seeing that the universe is in my favor. I believe perhaps conspiring for me. I don't know if that's the proper term or word usage, but I do believe it's in my favor. And so today, in thinking about 20 years without a drink, holy shit. It is amazing. I'm so grateful for the support that I have around me and the people that I have in my life and that I get to share it with. I mean, here I am sharing it out to the world, not boasting about it. Like I kind of want to get the message out there just for anyone who might be listening. Whatever it is that you want to change or the thing you think you can't live without, my goodness, do whatever you need to put it down and see how life plays out. I've mentioned it many times that I'm listening. I'm almost done for the second time with The Untethered Soul. And he had a small part in the book where he talked about if you want to see why you do the things you do, and this is Michael Singer from The Untethered Soul, then don't do them. And he was comparing one of the things he talked about was if you want to quit smoking, you can use all these things, you can do all of these things, read all these books, blah, blah, blah. But really, you just don't put the cigarette in your mouth. And I know that it is that black and white, ultimately. Don't put the cigarette in your mouth. But we do all these other things. Well, because how do I feel? I mean, I do remember, my gosh, putting the drink down was horrifying. I remember going to a concert at Garton's, this small bar in Vail, Colorado. And it was the first time I'd really been anywhere at an event like that, a musical event, and not drinking, and I danced for the first time, and it was incredibly uncomfortable. There were a lot of things that were incredibly uncomfortable for me because putting down the drink for me was really about taking the mask off and not having a buffer, being Angie out in the world. For myself, that's just the way it was. I used things to change the way I feel, and to be where I am today, 20 years later, it just seems like it's flown by. I mean, in the beginning, it was not easy, and it's not always easy today. I mean, I was in New Orleans, and I remember at one point this cooler stopped right in front of me at Jazz Fest. Huge cooler filled with Miller Lite. I mentioned it. Maybe it was my Big Easy episode, but this cooler stopped right in front of me. And thank goodness I didn't want to drink. I didn't, but it made me laugh. I'm like, there it was, just presenting itself to me. And if I don't stay on my game, somebody asked me the other day if I wanted to try the So they had made a mistake at pina colada at work, or they had some extra, oh, you don't want to taste it? And I said, nope, I don't want to awake any beasts within. It's not worth risking to me taking a drink, because I think about that makes me laugh. I'm like, I drank to get drunk. Who the hell wants a sip of anything? And so I'm reminded, just that thought process is, I'm pretty sure that's not how everybody thinks about drinking, but that is how I think about it. So today, 20 years, my goodness, the things that I have done. Dogs, I didn't lose them. They transitioned in the midst of my journey. And I don't call it my sobriety. I will say, to me, there's a big difference between sobriety and recovery. Sobriety, I find, is just putting whatever the substance is down. It's just my take on it. I put it down, and without any sort of addition, be it spiritual, some sort of recovery-based something or other, I don't know, I'm not growing. I have to heal through the stuff that took place. I need to add something in when I take something away. That's just how it works for me. So I love the journey, the recovery journey. It's definitely brought me closer to, I'll call it my creator, God, force, source, higher power, call it whatever you want, the universe, Mother Nature, I don't know. But it's brought me closer to something. It just made life so much more purposeful. I recently had an episode on purpose to the pain, or what's the purpose. Now I kind of look at life, and it makes sense to me that sometimes life is just about coping. It's very unfortunate people out there voting themselves off the island, taking themselves out, because life is fucking hard, man. It is. It's hard. It's overwhelming. It can be desperately lonely at times, and I don't want to fall into, again, anything that keeps me from connection with others. We use all kinds of stuff, not just the drink, the drug, the TV, the food, the headphones, YouTube, all of it, video games. We could fall into the rabbit hole of whatever it is. And if it's isolating, that's my warning sign. I love being by myself. With my dogs, really. I don't like being by myself so much, but I do like being alone, but I love my dogs. I could spend all kinds of time alone with my dogs, but I do need human interaction, and I need connection. And I've heard it said somewhere, and I believe there's a TED Talk that I need to watch, where somebody said, I think the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but the opposite of addiction is connection. I need connection. When I put the drink down, a lot of stuff went away. I spent a lot of time in the bar. I was very social, around a lot of people all the time. And when that goes away, I remember thinking I would never be able to go to a concert again. Oh my gosh, how was I going to live life without music and concerts? And a friend of mine, she used to say, how am I going to eat Mexican food? We have all these thoughts. So silly the way the brain works, so insane the way the brain works at times. I lived in Eagle, and Red Rocks was my favorite venue. It was about 2 hours away, hour and a half, 2 hours. And I drove to Red Rocks quite often. I could drive there and drive back in the night. I saw many different bands. I could drive myself home. I don't have to worry about a DUI. I don't have to worry about passing out in the ditch, going home with strangers. If I go home with strangers, I'm at least conscious. But all these things that I could not do before, just because of the drink. I passed out at many different concerts, and I saw a lot of music when I was younger, or I went to a lot of concerts when I was younger, but there's a lot of stuff I don't remember because I was drinking. And I don't want this to be an episode at all where it sounds like I'm harping on drinking, because I'm not. If you like to drink, drink. If you can drink, drink. That's not it. This is really just an kind of an honest conversation on me. Just somebody who is sharing their experience on something they put down. And hopefully somebody out there will either be inspired, if you happen to have a drinking problem or another drug problem, that you'll find some hope from me that you can put it down. It's possible, and it's well worth it. But I definitely hope that this inspires everybody to just perhaps look at why you're doing what you're doing. That's one of the most challenging and empowering questions I can ask myself. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Who am I doing it for? What's my intention? What's my motivation? And if it's not serving me, I know that I need to change it. And that requires, for me, work and help. I cannot do this stuff by myself. I'm so excited to be where I am. And I'm so grateful for anyone who is listening out there. And so grateful for all of you who have helped me along the way. My mom said to me tonight before she went to bed, thank you for staying sober for 20 years. And I was kind of a crappy sister and a crappy daughter and a terrible employee for a very long time. And that is not who I am anymore. In the Poddecks questions, it did say, one of the questions that it asked was, what does sobriety look like to you? And I'll say, what does recovery look like to me? My mental health was awful for such a long time. I used to call my mom. She lived thousands of miles away. I lived in Colorado. She lived in New York. And I'd call her, upset and crying. And she couldn't do anything. I could not maintain. I was very unwell mentally. And so recovery for me today looks like being available. Being available. Able to pick up the phone at night. I had a friend call me when I was back in Colorado. They called me at like 11 o'clock at night or 11:30. And they knew that I would be sober. I was able to go pick them up. That is what recovery looks like to me. Gives me the opportunity to be of service in some way, to help somebody else. My goodness. I had a dog, my old girl Panda. She lived to be 16 and a half. And it wasn't until about, maybe she was 14 or 13, and I put the drink down and was really present for her. I mean, we'd spent so much time together. I loved her. But when I think about my dogs recently, I still love Panda. But my dogs now, I'm present and available for them. Present and available to be a good employee. I don't want to say a great one, but I am. I'm like, this is the best version of Angie that I've ever been. Maybe being a little self-indulgent tonight. I think a message that I say on here a lot is that this life is short. How do I know that? I'm still here. But how do we all know that? We've lost loved ones. We haven't lost them. I need to change that. They have transitioned, passed on, moved on to the next great adventure. We all know how that feels. Life is short. It's brief. My dogs, Chip is 14, Marshmallow 10. I helped other dogs transition on to the next great adventure, over to the Rainbow Bridge. All of that. I've done so much of that in recovery. Experienced things that I didn't think I could handle. I find it exciting to know what I'm capable of. I don't relish in some of the experiences, and yet I have a life to live. And I'm not afraid of accepting what comes along with this earthly experience. Heavy stuff, light stuff, beautiful stuff, not so beautiful stuff, dark stuff, bright stuff, all of it. I don't want to miss a thing. Aerosmith, right? I don't want to miss a thing. It's been a bumpy journey. Poddecks, here we go. What have you needed to forgive yourself for? I think I've asked this question on an episode prior, and I feel like I used to think I'd wasted so much time. I don't feel that way so much anymore. I harmed people along the way. I've fucking made my amends. Not to say that I don't have more to make, but there's a way to get through this to live an incredibly fulfilling life. So I feel like I don't want to sound like I'm preaching at all. And my intention was not to make this an episode about, like I said, I do whatever you want out there. I'm the gal who, stopped drinking and eventually put down the other stuff and put the weed down, but still goes to a clinic for her ketamine infusions. So recovery can be a very messy, non-linear path. Finding what works for you. I suggest that. I invite you all to try and be the best version of yourself. Not for anybody else. Maybe that's a byproduct of it, but for you. Because we do get just one life. I think that I'm going to remember. Maybe I'll be reincarnated and get glimpses of it. But for you, give yourself the best option at this deal. And then, yeah, that is the greatest byproduct of my recovery, is that my loved ones benefit from it. And it really is a public service. I joke about that too. I'll tell people I don't drink anymore. And why? Well, it's a public service. For sure. I was trouble. I caused trouble. I drank and drove a lot. I did all the things that you weren't supposed to do. And I didn't do it because I'm a bad person. When I knew better, I did better. And I'm very, very grateful to have not harmed people at a deeper level. But I get a shot to make it up and give back and try and be the best version of Angie. This next question that came up is, who are you staying sober for? I am definitely doing this for me. There was a time when I really wanted back my relationship with the guy who threw me out. I definitely jumped on the bandwagon of, quote, sobriety at the time because I wanted that life back. And I'll never forget, it was like a year to the day. I made it a year without drinking. And that particular guy called me for a booty call. And I said no. And we lived right down the street from each other. It wasn't because I didn't want to, deep down, but it was because I was really getting a glimpse at who I could be and this journey that I was on. And so today, here I am, single and kind of lonely sometimes, and would love companionship and would love to go to Panic in La Playa with somebody, or playing in the sand with somebody, and have a partner in crime for music and dinner and, all of that stuff. And yet at the same time, as a friend of mine says all the time, she's like, I like me. I like spending time with me. And so that is where I am more often than not. Enjoying the present moment, not trying to force anything, and really being able to have true belief that things will come when they're supposed to come. I'm not going to be alone forever, but I'm not going to force anything either. My goodness, when I think about that, sitting in the bar, drinking, going home with strangers, making poor decisions, and that's just the way it was for me. Anywho, here's to 20 years. Here's to anybody and everyone else out there who is celebrating. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. I'm grateful for you. I'm incredibly grateful for this platform where I just get to be Angie. This is just a little bit of my putting myself out there and sharing myself with you. Not trying to teach you anything, not trying to force anything on you, just letting you know me, a little bit about me. I'm imperfect and I'm still nervous and anxious and all the things that we humans are. And yet I am the most comfortable with myself that I've ever been. So on that note, I will say next week I should have an interesting episode. I am going to Myrtle Beach for my ketamine infusion, number 10. And I'm excited about it, just like I guess maybe anyone would be for getting their medicine. It kind of moves into this other question that I'll put in there. What is the role of open-mindedness in sobriety/recovery? I used to think that there was some sort of a perfect path I was supposed to be walking. I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't doing this recovery sober thing right. As mentioned, I smoked weed for a long time. I overeat, for goodness sake. I'm now doing ketamine infusions instead of taking antidepressants. I'm not doing it right. That's what my brain will still tell me. But this open-minded piece has allowed me to take the cape off, take the weight off, and understand that I have a journey of my own. And ultimately, it's between me and the big boss above, wherever it is within. That's it. I know who I am today. I truly am the best version of myself. And if y'all don't care for me, then then that's okay. As a good dear friend said to me, what other people think of me is none of my business. I like who I am today. I can look in the mirror, legit look in the mirror, and say, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. Thanks, Stuart Smalley. All right. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know me a little bit. I definitely say it in my outro, but I would love some sort of feedback. I would love to get to know y'all a little bit. Tell me what you want to hear about. Maybe you have a story of recovery that you'd like to share or something that you'd like to connect with. I am working on towards somehow trying to build a community, a podcast community specific to my podcast. I would love to be able to interact. I did start an Instagram page specifically for life, love, music, and space travel. Maybe I'll start a Facebook page. It's in the process. I still have yet to implement all of the stuff I learned at Podfest. That's going to take me a lifetime. And that's okay. That's what this is about. That's what this journey's about. And I'm just fucking way grateful to be present and in it, feeling it, seeing it, a part of it, really available, conscious. I spent a lot of time sleeping, passed out. I slept a lot. And I don't do that anymore. Thanks for listening. I very much look forward to our next get together. Until we meet again in cyberspace. Bye. So we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks so very much for listening. It's now time to reconnect to planet Earth and all that comes with living on the blue ball. I'd love to hear your ideas for future episode topics, along with any and all positive and or constructive feedback. Please feel free to contact me at ashysbadass@gmail.com. Thanks again for spending some time with me and allowing me to share myself with you. Until next time, please be gentle with yourselves, be kind to animals, and do all you can to allow your authentic selves to shine brightly.